detective thrill me.
Welcome back. Another week. This time it's in the cage. Jared, Gibbo returns.
About time.
Now, some people might think that we are desperately trying to fuck you over.
It's not that. I'm just terribly unreliable.
Because you always seem to roll back into just get hit in the face by some random shit that we decided.
It's not like the stuff you did in my absence was quality, to be honest.
Yeah. No, that's
There's
true.
not been much Oscar fare in there.
No, there's been no Oscar fare, but this is a little lower than those.
This is the bottom of the barrel, there's no doubt about it.
I was going to say, it's good to have you back because we were starting to feel like Harley without Marlboro. You know, just wasn't right.
Safe to say it's way better than this movie. It's not close.
Tonight's film is a little B-grade schlockfest known as The Cage. Now, just to give you a bit of history where this came from, this has actually been brought to our attention by one of our listeners, Brad. He was a fan of this back in the day.
Sick man.
And initially, I said to Brad, look, if I find a copy on YouTube, I don't think I can get it past everyone else. But if he watches it and I watch it, we'll put his thoughts on paper and I'll read it out. And then this cloud across here, looking for someone to point a finger at, he says to me, "What are you doing?" I'm in there. And
You've got serious problems, mate.
Thus, this episode was born.
You know, the problem was, though, I discussed it with Gibbo, and I think my enthusiasm kind of, in my memory, bled over to the Gibbo being enthusiastic about it as well, which he wasn't.
I'm talking about Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, well, and then so I've said to Adam, Gibbo's up for it. We've got to get this going. So Adam's like, right, we'll do it. And then I've spoken to you about it again, and you're like, oh, fuck. I said, I thought you were...
You said to me, we're going to do a Cage movie. And I'm like, oh, yeah, Nicolas Cage, no worries. I'll get on board with that.
Yeah, what though?
So I think we're up for The Rock or something random, you know?
Looking at his resume, I don't know.
I'm not saying it'd be bad, but at least I know what it was. And I'll probably be able to find it on PSN instead of the depths of YouTube.
Look, I'll cop it on the chin.
Well, Brad has provided us his thoughts, so they will be peppered throughout this episode. But before we get into The Cage with Lou Ferrigno and Red Brown, what have we been watching? Gibbo, you've been away for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you've got quite a bit on the...
I'm a shit bloke, but I watch a lot of stuff, so... I know I listened to you guys a couple of episodes ago. Coxie watched The Founder. I watched it as well. Prick of a bloke.
Yeah.
Really. It reminded me a little bit of the Facebook, the way Facebook was done. Just a rich, greedy bastard screwing over two other blokes and
sort of championed him for it too.
Yeah, and everyone's like, yeah, you're a fucking legend, mate. And not really. He was just an asshole and just wanted to steal someone else's idea for the most part. I think Keaton did a good job, and it's not the most entertaining movie. It's kind of interesting, but it's just like, ugh.
For me, clearly the most interesting part was anything that was related to how Macca's got to the point that it...
Yeah, and the way they designed their whole thing at the start, that was really... Like, if they went to that much detail, that was amazing. Like, the choreography of the kitchen and stuff like that, that was cool. But other than that, it was just a bit of a slow burn, I guess. I watched Arrow Season 5 and The Flash. It's under duress at this point. I'm watching it with a little bloke. They're just so basic. You would have watched them for
Hang on a
sure.
second.
Look, the new seasons, I'm a little bit fatigued. I haven't watched them.
It's just...
You were a massive Flash guy. Has it gone...
Yeah, season 1.
I mean, I can understand Arrow because Arrow's been on the longest and it's probably clutching for ideas as these
Flash has got worse every season.
Yeah,
Season 1, I actually enjoyed it more than Arrow because it was kind of the counterpoint. Like, Arrow was the dark kind of Batman Begins type one, whereas Flash brought a little bit of that superhero, a bit of cheesiness, and I really enjoyed it, but it's just sort of suffered a little bit as it goes along.
And the crossover stuff... that neither of them, they're both very different tonally, like you said. Like, one's more violent and it just doesn't, they don't really merge together like they should. Like, they're trying to do the Marvel Universe thing, what they're doing on Netflix, and it doesn't work anywhere near the same because they're so different characters.
The shows they've all got the same formula too. They've all got the hero, they've all got
how many different characters can have the exact same power over and over again for different reasons?
But they've all
just nonsensical.
They've all got their own variation of the comic relief pal the computer expert or science expert, or like it's very formulaic, and it's started to wear down. And I think that's why I've enjoyed the Legends of Tomorrow most recently, because it's got that Quantum Leap vibe to it, where they can have a bit of fun with going to different time periods and stuff.
Yeah, it just feels like they're rolling out the same thing over and over again, so wasn't really
I'm certainly fatigued.
Like I said, as soon as something comes out, Dylan will be like, yeah, let's watch this, and I'll be like, all right. But I'm not keen. Stranger Things 2, on the other hand, fucking awesome.
Yeah, I loved it.
Very, very...
You finished it?
Yeah, for sure.
Mate,
so I finished in 2 days.
I've already ordered my singlet for the summer with 11 and bitching across the front.
Yeah, with the slick back hair? Yeah, nice.
I've watched the first 4 episodes. I think it's still a good show, but I am seeing repetition and it feels the same, and I'm sure it's going to pay off. I'm hoping it's going to pay off. It doesn't have as
much of the horror stuff as it had in the first season.
But I'm finding that the teen characters in those first 4 episodes have basically done nothing. Now, I don't know whether... I'm assuming there's a payoff.
You mean the older kids?
Well, the older kids have done absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
They've introduced that mullet-wearing
Billy
douchebag.
Yeah.
He's an Aussie, and he's fantastic.
But I'm assuming there's payoff. So I haven't seen all of it, so assuming there's something.
As I said to you, I didn't really find that what you found. Like, I think if you're talking about Nancy and
Billy or whatever his name is.
Yeah, if you're talking about them, it takes a little... They're kind of off to the side and a bit of a diversion, but you get this awesome stuff with Steve coming in with the crew of younger kids.
We can't really ruin it for Adam.
No, we're not going to ruin it, but Steve gets involved.
Steve has a better arc than the other older kids.
That's some of the best work of the season.
But the young kids are great. Like, I still feel that that's there.
Yeah, I think Max is a good addition too.
But then you've got 11 to the side. And I guess the hype was huge, and it's just... To me, so far, it has not lived up to it.
Yeah.
And
it
definitely
gets better at the end.
You know what? The hype was so big, it couldn't possibly.
Yeah, no, well, that's the other thing. I think the lightning is
I think that's hard. That's the hard part for them, is that you've got something that was incredibly... It was lightning in a bottle. That first season was just everybody, like I binge-watched that first season.
Yeah.
I have gone a week in between episodes of this.
You're a stronger man than
I knocked it over. Keep me away from it.
I just finished an episode and I think, yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
But I'm not itching.
So what did you do? Because for me, the early episodes, I thought there was some fantastic stuff.
There was some great stuff.
Hopper and 11.
Yeah,
there was a bit of that. But I don't know, I just felt whenever they went away from the young kids, I kind of lost a bit of the...
The kids are definitely the peak of it.
They are great. When they're out Halloween... Doing the Halloween stuff.
Yeah, that was cool.
I think it was the second episode.
Yeah.
Just magic. Like, some of that stuff is just magic. Like, they also nail the 80s.
Yeah. You're right with the, Dacre Montgomery is the Aussie guy that plays the mullet-wearing fucking bozo.
Yeah, he's hard work.
Early on, he's very, one note. He's just antagonising his sister, but it does develop.
Well, that's it.
Sort of get involved.
I think he's going to pay off more in season 3.
Yeah, I cannot fully review it.
Yeah.
Without seeing the rest of it, because
I think it gets better.
There's got to be payoff, and as long as there's payoff, then I'll probably be able to say, well, you know what, I thought it was a bit slow, but then I got what I was hoping.
You haven't even got to episode 7
I was going to say, episode 7 might be the issue.
Go cold.
That'll be the issue.
7, I heard, was very bad.
It's kind of like a standalone thing within the season. It goes off and does its own thing, and it's none of it ties back to the other, 8 episodes or whatever.
Is it 10 episodes?
I think it's...
Is
it 10 or 9? I don't know. Anyway, 7 is its own thing. I liked that episode. It's very different to everything else.
Yeah.
But the season gets better at the end, and there's a payoff for a lot of stuff.
Well, that's it. As long as that pays off, I'll probably reassess.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, I'm only really in the opening.
It honestly feels like this season is a bridge to wherever, because they're only doing 3, aren't they?
4, I believe.
I think as far as I know, the Netflix is
4.
Basically
they've actually
go for 2 more seasons.
So I reckon 3 would have been perfect.
Yeah,
as much as I like it.
As long as it's like if they had a plan for 3 seasons and Netflix has said, "Can you do 4?" I'm okay with that. As long as they don't try to stretch it.
Yeah,
that's what I'm worried about.
Past, because I think Breaking Bad was kind of like that. I think they pushed it a little bit further than they might have anticipated to, but the story was strong enough to hold it. So if Stranger Things is like that, I'll be okay.
I think you can get more seasons out of it. It's just about how well they.
Well, there's definitely. I mean, they don't finish anything.
Yeah.
In this season, they just kind of.
Sorry, mate. Off to the side.
No, that's all right. Well, we're really burning through my list, so it's good. I watched Police Academy.
I love that movie.
It's fucking great. It really is. It's so shit. But mate, Dylan pissed himself. Like it's just got some comedy that just it just holds up. You know what I mean? Some of the Tackleberry stuff, Dylan was just losing his shit. It was.
I mean, you can see why it was successful.
I never ever failed to laugh at it once.
Yeah.
I started watching. I thought, this is probably won't pan out. He'd be bored after 10 minutes.
Loved it.
He was into it. He was just keen, and like when they turn the car over, and that's like he was just all about then the.
What's his name? Commandant Lassard or whatever. He always used to crack me.
Yeah, exactly. He's
many things.
So I won't spend much time on that one. Went and watched Ragnarok in cinema with Dill.
Yeah, so did I.
Top. Yeah, I was a really big fan.
Best of the Thor films?
Best of the Thor films by far.
The other thing for me, though, is the best thing about it was that old mate Taika Waititi, he realised it's just the same. It's just another story that's going to get boring, so we're just going to fucking make it a comedy.
But they find, but as I've heard on a couple other pods talking about it, Thor needs to be way out there with what he does, fighting huge monsters and doing magical shit, and they nailed it finally. Instead of this... Yeah. Trying to make everything serious and somber and whatever else, they just went completely crazy. Like the first dude he fights is a giant lava monster with a mask, and I mean some of the jokes I think are a little bit too jokey.
Forced,
but I laughed at all of them. But it just seems like it's like from joke to joke to joke.
Yeah.
But I just think it worked. But
because quite frankly,
like top 5.
Quite frankly, if it wasn't funny, I'd have been sitting there going, well, where was Hella? Because she was barely in it. She was in it at the start and the finish, and I'd have been thinking that's one of the weaker villains that they've rolled out.
Yeah.
Just it's another weak villain in a bunch of
They kind of had multiple villains, and like she was the big bad, but there was
but the fact that they. Because that's what happened. It sort of took a story and then went to another story and then came back to this story, so it jumped around a bit. But because it was funny as hell, you didn't care. You just
plus it had Jeff Goldblum, so
exactly
he was magic in it.
He was gold.
He was gold. He knew what he was there for, and he knocked it out of the park. It was gold. Taika Waititi's Rock character, whatever his name was,
Korg. He was hilarious.
That was so piss off, Ghost.
You want the pointy stakes? They're probably not very useful unless you're fighting vampires that are hunched close together, eh?
Yeah, he was just good, and that was obviously a nod at what we're doing the shadows and stuff like that. No, he was really good. There was heaps of good stuff in it. Yeah, I just thought that maybe if they can stay at that level, if they keep going down I don't know. It was a little bit of a trying to do a copy off Guardians. Yeah, which it could get a little bit too much of the same thing, but I loved it. That's honestly like a top 5 Marvel movie for me.
That Kiwi sense of humour too gave it that little bit of a
I wonder if the humour played as well not in Australasia. You know what I mean? Like because we've kind of got our own sense of humour. I just don't know. I'm assuming that everyone thought it was funny.
Yeah,
but
I reckon
maybe some stuff didn't hit anyway. Anyways, that was good. I watched Maggie, which is the Arnold Schwarzenegger. Very different take on the whole zombie apocalypse sort of.
It's probably too slow.
Oh, it's super slow.
But Arnie is actually very good.
He's really good.
Surprisingly good.
She's good in it. I thought the ending was a little bit unsatisfying.
Yeah.
Like it was touching at the same time, but it was just like, But well, I guess that's the end of that then.
This is we've always talked about this, and it's always been the weakness of Arnie, is that your Stallones and your Bruce Willises and those guys could go and do that when they were at the peak of their powers, like they were in their 30s, and they could still go and give you that if you really needed it.
No, he was impressive.
Arnie couldn't, but then he probably could have. Like, that's the thing. No one ever, when he was at the peak of his powers, no one ever went to Arnie and said, look, we got this small movie where you're going to play a father.
Yeah.
Arnie would have gone,
and you've got to show us 20 different emotions on your face at once.
You've seen Raw Deal.
Yeah.
You know why they didn't do that.
Where someone went, look, I've got this script for Arnie. Have you seen Raw Deal? Let's go elsewhere.
We're just having the background flexing.
Yeah, you're right. But he does, I think being a lot older now, it actually works more for him to do it now.
Yeah.
And also no longer being the box office.
Yeah, he can settle for that sort of stuff.
He can settle, and he has to settle for that sort of stuff.
But I had it on my list for a while, and I just thought, I'll just watch it. And I think it was actually while the kids had chicken pox. I watched that when you guys were probably doing your last pod.
Yeah.
So that wasn't too bad. I watched the season 1 of Wolf Creek on Stan.
Is that any good?
Yeah, not great.
he doesn't have the same gravitas that he had in the movie. The Mick Taylor character, he's not anywhere near as menacing, and some of the effects honestly struggle.
And speaking of storylines that just pop up for a couple of episodes and then just go fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
Like I didn't mind it early on, but yeah, it was all over the shop.
I finished it for the sake of finishing, and now there's another season's coming out.
I'm like, you're gonna have to watch that.
When I saw that, I was like,
6 episodes though, you'll be able to knock it over.
Yeah, I know. It's just, but it's a different character. It's not the same girl or anything. It's a whole new thing.
And he is now basically a Jason Voorhees type.
Yeah, pretty much. Like apparently
just a gritty, fucking filthy, unkillable. Now he's got.
Well, she nailed him to the wall with a bunch of fire pokers and
he's got backstory now, of course. Like it's gotten a bit too far, I think.
Yeah. So what's that? Watch Baby Driver.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was probably like a 6.5, 7, something like that. The main dude in it, he's really good, and some of the stunts in it are top level. Didn't enjoy looking at Kevin Spacey anymore, unfortunately.
No, I was going to say I probably would have watched it by now, bar that.
Fuck that guy.
I couldn't watch it after that.
No, we could go and watch The Nice Guys again. Because my dad came over and he didn't know what it was. And I said, mate, watch this with me. He hissed himself the whole fucking time. Just everything. As soon as when Crow breaks his arm and he's squealing, Dad was just rolling off the couch, like just lost his shit completely. So that was good. And then obviously season 1 of The Punisher on Netflix.
Yeah. Is that your last?
Yeah, except for Deep Blue Sea, which is very important.
Yeah. But let's talk to Punisher, because I'm 4 episodes into The Punisher.
Oh, okay, we can't go too far then.
Yeah, I'm 6.
Oh,
6 down.
I thought you'd be all over it.
Yeah, I've been trying to finish it, but
I'm enjoying it. I actually like it. I think it's kind of. I prefer that grittier, human style.
Talk to me after the last episode. Marvel
sort of show, but I can see where it's not particularly fast moving, which surprises me. I thought it'd be very much action aplenty.
Yeah.
And it's obviously it's building
more
things up.
It's more like a bloody
like a crime procedural sort of.
Well, yeah, and it's more sort of taking on a bit of PTSD and veterans in America.
Oh, it's clearly having.
And I do love the fact that they were kind of they basically committed war crimes, and that's why what's happening, is happening.
Yeah,
I really did enjoy that, and I think John Bernthal is excellent as the Punisher, and I think the acting's quite good. So I'm looking forward to the rest of it.
I think the Homeland Madani, she's not a good actress.
No, I
don't enjoy her at all.
The stuff with her by episode 6 that I'm in, the stuff with her is becoming a real slog.
She's got one note, and yeah, I just don't like looking at her. John Bernthal, I've been a big fan of his ever since season 1 of Walking Dead.
Yeah,
he's really good.
Part of that show.
I thought him and Micro,
when he died,
him and Micro together were pretty good too, and him and Karen Page, the scenes with them together are excellent.
She must be just loving having this little world just propping her up all over the place.
Yeah,
but yeah, that Madani kills it for me. She's a real struggle. Other than that, but yeah, I had heaps more other comments, but I won't say anything because you guys aren't up to there yet. So,
if I was going to peg it as of now, without having not finished it, but I'm at episode 6, I'd say it's below Daredevil and Jessica Jones.
Both seasons of Daredevil.
Yeah, I'll probably enjoy Daredevil season 2 more than this one.
There's a lot more going on,
and I think Luke Cage I liked, but I think I liked this one probably a little bit more. But yes, obviously got a few episodes to...
The last episode, I had an issue with the last episode. It's not that it's not good, but some stuff happens in the last episode, and after you watch it, you'll be like, oh, and then you come and talk to me. Right, so...
Spoilers next time, eh?
No, well, that's not a spoiler, because it's a really good episode.
Next time we get to...
we'll get to it,
the shit out of it.
It just... Yeah, it takes a certain tack, and I was just like, holy fuck, like, I'm not sure how I feel about that, so...
Yeah.
But yeah, the last one, Deep Blue Sea. Cinematic masterpiece.
Do you have anything?
Out of 5. Gibbo,
do you have anything to say to Brandon and Zach?
It's probably a 2.5. 2.5. It's entertaining in bits, but some of the stuff in it is just so upsetting to watch. LL Cool J's character, mate. He feels like he should be in a Cocoa Pops ad or something. Like, just fuck off. He's a caricature. It bugged the shit out of me. Him and his parrot. If someone goes into a fucking thing to retrieve a fucking pet one more time... and people in horror movies, and there's a fucking murder outside, they go, oh, my cat's outside, I better go. Just fuck the cat. Who cares?
Get moving.
Yeah.
bird. No, mate.
Nah.
Go upstairs, get away from the water.
As I said, mate, it's chow. It's 30 seconds that you're going to be focused on something other than me.
Yeah.
I'm out of there.
The only things I actually liked out of it was the surprising stuff. So Samuel L. Jackson's death.
He's funny.
Doing his big fucking speech, neck minute, fucking boof, you're gone. And then at the end, when you think the girl's, she's going to like save the day or whatever else, and she just gets fucking eaten.
Yeah.
I was just like, because I forgot that had happened. I was just like, right.
Well, as we said in the
had that
episode,
test screen related.
because the
no one would have liked it.
the
She was a
audience fucking hated us.
Yeah. She's a prick of a human.
Yeah.
I think you pointed out about just redundant scenes, like the test shark practice thing, doing the brain fluid extraction, and then doing the exact same scene the next one.
Why do the bit on the little sort of model?
The only reason was so later on they could do that fake scare with the model floating up to her. Sorry, not worth it.
Yeah.
Get away from me. Thomas Jane, terrible.
Man of the 2000s.
Yeah.
Come on.
He's a fan.
He was hot, right?
That's right. That was one of you guys that said he's going to be the...
Adam's going to be a big thing.
That's the rest of it.
When I'm wrong with you guys, I listen to the pods and they all just sort of merge in with other pods. I was just going to say one of the other blokes on the podcast was saying that he thought he was going to be the next big thing.
No,
you're a fucking idiot.
That's the dickhead sitting next to you, mate.
Have you seen his version of the Punisher?
I have.
Adam was telling me, look, back in the day, Adam was saying Deep Blue Sea's it, but then he's going to be the Punisher. That'll launch him into the stratosphere.
And of course I was wrong about the Punisher. But then again, the only one that had previously been around was the Dolph Lundgren version. So at that stage, I think there was a low bar to get over.
It is better than that.
It's
got John Travolta, so.
It's poor. It's not terps. It's actually all right in parts, but it's pretty bad.
It's crap.
It's not a good action film, put it that way.
Well, what's her face is in it, so yeah. And hang on, who's the two weird? There's the two offside characters. Isn't Ben Foster one of the?
Oh, maybe.
The
I
weird guys
haven't seen it.
I can't even remember.
If it's not Ben Foster, it's someone like him. But he's like the
You can borrow my
outcast dude.
Have you got it?
I've got it. I bought that in Warzone double pack for $10 or
Of
something.
course you did.
The worst thing about
Keep Thomas Jane in royalties.
the worst thing is Punisher Warzone is the best
I know.
series game.
I know.
Don't talk about keeping people in royalties, mate. I heard about your purchases and rentals.
Well, fuck.
Terrible.
God, well, I had to watch it somehow.
Anyway, that's it for me.
Alright, mine's quick. I
Thank
finished
fuck.
off Mindhunter.
Mm.
It's really good. It's still very much a slow burn. Like, it doesn't really end anything. The last sequence at the end is really creepy. Just because, this serial killer kind of talks to him in the hospital and he's just kind of, he's kind of saying, you don't like me, you talk to me all, and it gets really kind of creepy. It's classic David Fincher, that really sort of off-putting sort of stuff. And it ends with this person that we've seen throughout all the episodes is obviously going to come into the next season. And I said before when I was watching it, if you know your serial killers, then you'll know who it is. Yeah. But it's going to be interesting.
Is he based on somebody? Or?
Yes, he is. I believe he's based on a specific serial killer. So you'll know that's going to come into play somewhere in the next couple of seasons, and it's just really interesting.
Yeah.
Look, it's slow burn city, but I enjoyed it.
I'm not against slow burn if it's things can be slow, but it's still really well made and interesting. You know what I mean?
And it doesn't always pay off.
Yeah.
Like, this is the thing about it. It doesn't always pay off, but it's probably going to later. It's just taking its time, and it's one of those it's just very interesting to see the way they kind of set this stuff up, because it's kind of based on reality.
Yeah.
How they set up criminal profiling. So it's pretty good. The only other thing I saw other than Punisher and Stranger Things is I'm about 10 episodes deep into Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Loving it, but like you, those first 2 episodes of the season, if they were the first 2 episodes I ever saw, I would never have watched the show.
Wow.
They were fucking awful.
So I saw the new season come up and I said, right, we've got to watch this, and we just haven't had a chance.
The first 2 episodes are fucking, dare I say it, they're shit. Like, they're not funny.
They haven't had a bad one yet.
I was hoping you were going to say diabolical.
Yeah, I'm loving diabolical,
I'll t-shirts and they're going to say
diabolical.
Diabolical. But they are, the first 2 episodes, it just feels like, because there's no ensemble, it's primarily about Holt and Peralta.
Yeah.
And they're not in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
It's just, it shows Andy Samberg's weaknesses that he's extremely annoying, and that character
if
is
it's
an
with him too
absolute
long.
prick. But if you put him with the rest of the cast,
He needs other people to
it
buffer his
works.
edges. Yeah.
And it doesn't work for those first 2 episodes, so I was just sitting there thinking, oh, shit.
Imagine being at a pub having a beer with the bloke.
Yeah.
You'd knock him out in 15 minutes. Like, honestly.
And those first 2 episodes, I was, oh, shit, they've bloody nuked the fridge.
Yeah.
And this is where it's gone. But then it rights itself because they go back.
Well, that's good, because I've been hanging out for that season to come out.
And so I still find it very amusing. And Andre Braugher he just gets laughs from it.
He is the best.
That deadpan stuff is just so good, and he just delivers it so well. Plus, we get a nice Jimmy Smith's cameo.
Jimmy Smith.
Loved it.
Bring him back the NYPD.
Yeah, it was gold. It was
That's
gold.
what, he was NYPD Blue, wasn't
Yeah, he was NYPD Blue. And he's just piss funny when he turns up for an episode. So it's definitely worth watching. It's just those first 2 episodes was.
Well, I'm
real
happy you
struggle.
told me, because I would have been so upset watching
Yeah.
that.
I struggled. I mean, I don't know. You might let them slide, but I was really disappointed in them both.
Because I was going to say that's probably the most consistent TV series, like comedy-wise, I've ever seen up until this point.
I think that's why I was pissed off.
Yeah.
Because the first 3 seasons had been consistently amusing.
Yeah.
And then this just comes in, and I was just like, well, what's going on? You know, I was a bit worried, and then it gets back to on deck, which is good. That's it for me.
Yeah, well, covering some of the same ground, I started Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I think I'm about 5 episodes in, and I thought exactly the same. I thought those 2 Florida episodes were just tragic. They were just really bad. I actually thought we've finished here. We're done.
They've run out of gear.
Yeah, but I think they realised too, and it was done in 2 episodes. And they're back in the 9-9. So that was interesting start. I obviously watched Stranger Things, loved it. Punisher, working through that. Thor, obviously, I saw as well. I finished Slasher. I don't know if I mentioned to you last time that I've actually finished it now. I didn't pick it. I picked an element of what you said. We spoke about it after. I didn't pick the whodunit. I picked an element of it.
Yeah.
But it's so sort of twisted. I didn't really love the season. Like, I liked parts of it, and I thought that the twist could have been okay. But when I went back to think through some of the things that had happened, there were certain things that I feel like they just did that to throw you off the scent and nothing more.
Yeah.
There was no other reason for him to be there. And it wasn't like they were so egregious that it just looked ridiculous by the end of it.
Yeah.
So, I think I said previously I'd watch a 3rd season. I will, but I'll have second thoughts. I'll have second thoughts when I start episode 1, but I'll see it through.
Christ, I'm happy to go back to Scream season 3 when it comes out, and I was absolutely raging about it.
You were quite upset.
I hated that shit.
Yeah.
By the end of it, so I'd give it another season, but it stuck out like you wouldn't believe. And I'm not good at picking those things.
Yeah.
But it stuck out so much, and it is so derivative of a very well-known movie that it just. They threw the bit in that you're supposed to sort of see.
Yeah.
I just went, hang on.
Yeah. And
I realised that and from there, the last 3 or 4 episodes, you just sit there going, oh, God, I can't
just
possibly
finish it,
do this.
So I think I saw that, what you were talking about, and I made a connection, but I didn't see it through to what it eventually was. So you're right, it was sort of out there. I saw Jigsaw. Laugh it up.
That good?
No, look, if you like the Saw movies, you'll get enough, but there is nothing new. Absolutely nothing. The twist, it was predictable. It was totally predictable because all the twists and turns are things you've seen in the previous fucking 7 movies.
But according to Luke, Jigsaw 2 will make up for it. Explain what happened to Jigsaw.
Yeah, well, we laughed at him the first time, but he was right.
Let me guess, he's the killer LeBron James.
Yeah, could have been. I don't know. It brings nothing new to the table. But if you like the other ones, you'll probably get enough out of this one to say it was all right.
Sorry, my joke was completely ridiculous because he was Pennywise, not Jigsaw. Steph Curry was Jigsaw.
I was trying to just sort of move on and.
Sorry, yeah. No, I got it.
Let that go. Just walking straight through it.
Gibbo stepped in dog shit. Stepped in dog shit. Move on.
Oh, God, yeah.
It didn't happen.
I saw Murder on the Orient Express. Yeah, not bad. It looks really good. Like, the sets and everything are pretty great. They look really, really fantastic. The cast is obviously fairly stacked. Kenneth Branagh, very good. Got a couple of laughs out of him, and he plays it off. But I was never familiar with the story, and I kind of felt like it built it up from the get-go to where it was going to end up. So Yeah, I don't know. It was enjoyable. I watched a couple of docos. Now, I can't remember whether I mentioned this already, but I watched The Nature Boy, the 30 for 30 on Ric Flair.
I saw a bit of it.
It was bloody good. It was really good. I wish they had gone into his money trouble so we could have talked a little bit about Ric Flair finance and all that sort of stuff. But to be honest...
Honestly, who's taking a fucking financial away from Ric Flair?
Well,
WWE.
But no, I think he's back in the ring too now, so he must still be having financial issues.
He's 70 years old.
I think he's 70. Yeah.
Good God.
But no, like there was some really
break him in half.
there was some really great parts to it, and I mean, basically at the end of the day, he admits at the end of the docker, like he's lost a son to overdose, and all of his kids essentially say he's a shit father. At the end of it, he just basically says, they say to him, "What do you want to be remembered as?" And he says, "Some people would love to say they want to be the greatest father. I'm not. I'm a terrible father. I'm a worse husband, and I want to be remembered as the greatest wrestler ever to live."
The problem
and basically, he says, "I lived what I was in the ring. My character became my real life, and I fucking loved it."
Look, I can see where he probably went wrong.
He's owning it.
He owns it, and the doco is better for it because he goes into the depths, and he talks about some shit that he does, and he says, "Yeah, look, I was cheating on my wife and all this sort of stuff." But then he goes into this massive story about I just couldn't be alone, so we'd get to the Holiday Inn, and I'd roll into the bar and say, "I'm buying everyone a drink." Next thing you know, I'm dancing on the bar with people I don't know, serving the shots and stuff, and I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
And he does. He owns it. You see, he talks about some stuff like he's regretting it. Next thing you know, he's giggling and smile away, and you can see him looking over in the corner, and you can tell he wishes he wishes that was where he was while he's talking about it.
Yeah.
You know?
But isn't that a little bit sad?
It's sad in a way.
That you're 70 years old and you still keep...
Look, it's sad in a way, but at least I watched that doco and I can say, all right.
Well, at least you know where he's coming from.
I respect his view.
Yeah.
He said, I watched that and I say I could never do what he did to his kids. I could never be away from him.
Fuck no.
But he puts it out there. He talks about it and basically says, I am wrestling. That's what I am.
Well, he accepts it.
I accept that, and the documentary is better for it because he doesn't pretend. You know, and some of the other great stuff is that Hulk Hogan gets on there and they say to him, "Who's a better wrestler?" Because there's always been this debate about, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, and anyone that was a kid in the 80s is always like, yeah, Hulk Hogan's great. But if you like wrestling, Ric Flair is clearly the better wrestler. He makes someone else look good. He's a technician and whatever. And Hulk Hogan's got a massive ego. They say to Hulk Hogan, "Who's better?" And he says, "Ric Flair's 10 times better than I am." He said, "I've got a lane, but he can make anybody look fucking fantastic."
Yeah.
Except Look, I'll tell you why his parenting went wrong. He probably, discipline-wise, was just bang their head into the turnbuckle or some shit.
My favourite
Stomp on their head.
My favourite part of the
3 feet away.
My favourite part of the doco is they talk about the woo. They go, "Where'd that come from?" And then he starts going, "Yeah, one night I'll give him the woo." Next one is woo. They start going through all these variations.
So it's like he's blue steel.
Yeah, and they start playing clips of it, and it's all the same. He's just, a couple of woos in a row, or just, it's bloody ridiculous, but quite funny. The other one I watched was, what's it called? Jim and Andy? The one about Jim Carrey playing Andy Kaufman.
It sounds like a slog.
Look, it's a good watch. And some of the stuff is legitimately fucking really good to hear. Like Jim Carrey talking about why he had to do that. And he's saying, sometimes the little bit of dirt that turns into the pearl or whatever, for me, that bit of dirt was that, am I good enough? And all this sort of stuff. And then there's parts when he's talking about his dad and why he went into acting. And he goes, look, my dad was a great musician or whatever, but didn't go to the States. He compromised and stayed in Canada and was an accountant. And he fucking got fired when he was 50. So he goes, he compromised in life and he failed at his compromise. So the reason that I was so driven as an actor was I thought, if I'm going to fail, I may as well fucking fail at something I love.
Yeah.
And so you listen to him talk about that stuff and it's great. But then by the end of the doco, I was still sitting there going, it doesn't, in Tommy Lee's words, it doesn't sanction your buffoonery, Jim. you fucking acted like an asshole for months on a set, and the only reason you got away with it was because you're Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
If I'd have been an extra and I said, I'm going method, call me fucking, whatever you're going to call me, and then really got shit-faced and fucking passed out on the set and had to be carried somewhere, I'd have been out in my ass.
Yeah.
You know? And, he treats Jerry Lawler like an absolute piece of shit. He's just needling Lawler. There's twice in the doco where they show Jerry Lawler physically attacking. And both times I was thinking, fucking good on you.
Yeah, about time.
Yeah, and the thing that Jerry Lawler says is, look, and it was one of the sort of parts in the doco that I was like, I wish they'd talk to more people about this because everyone's championing it. And yeah, it was a great performance for a movie that's fairly average. So they talk to Jerry Lawler and he says, look, he's been an absolute arsehole to me every time I've been here. And they show clips of Jerry Lawler arrives on set and Jim Carrey just rolls up and throws water on him and his girlfriend for no reason. Because he's in character. And he says, look, what he's not getting is that Andy was always great to me. He'd always call me Mr. Lawler and shake my hand and then we'd do a bit. Yeah. Basically. And he's just fucking needling me the whole way. So look, it was a great watch, but it does, to me, you've acted like a fuckwit for 6 months, basically. So I'm kind of torn because it was great to watch.
Well, that was his goal, mate. He nailed it.
Yeah. The last one I watched, which you boys will be really interested to hear about, is I, of course, went and saw Justice League. So,
how bad is it?
It's not as bad as everyone's telling you.
As you said, Batman versus Superman.
No, look, there's huge problems. Number one, for me, Ben Affleck is worse because they try to make him funny. They should have just let him be who he was.
The torture porn Batman, yep.
The villain is dreadful. Like, Steppenwolf looks bad. It's boring. It's kind of, I don't know. I was just not very happy with that at all. They try to squeeze in too many characters that you haven't had their own movies and you don't know. But I still enjoyed it. I still liked some of the action scenes were just good fun. There was a couple of back and forths that they had which were clearly Joss Whedon stuff that worked between the characters. Obviously, I mean, I don't think it's a spoiler to say that Superman's back, of course. Everyone fucking knows that.
I was really surprised by that.
For the first time, I was fucking happy to see Superman on screen.
I wish he was dead.
Yeah, well, the thing about it was finally like, that's Superman. Or that's closer to Superman.
Yeah.
So it's a step down from Wonder Woman, a big step down, but I think the tone was more towards what you probably want. And I think in the end, it probably suffered from having to go to Joss Whedon because it was a little bit confused. Yeah. I was thinking that was a good move, but obviously there's a bit of pulling in two different directions. But yeah, overall, I was happy enough with it.
How'd the effects look? Because in the trailer, some of it looks like 300-y, like where it's just really...
Yeah, some of them didn't work. Steppenwolf was just... Every time I saw Steppenwolf, I was just like, fuck, that's really bad. Yeah. Really bad. And I think, the funny thing was I really liked Cyborg. And a lot of people have had massive issues with Cyborg. So I don't know whether it's because I didn't have as much of an issue with those guys not having a huge introduction because I've seen... I know the characters. I know enough about the characters. But yeah, I was happy enough with it. Look, it's definitely better than Suicide Squad and Batman vs Superman. It's not as good as Wonder Woman. It's a bit of fun. It's a bit of big dumb fun, which is probably more where it should be.
Yeah,
because it didn't do the kind of business they were hoping.
No,
and from what I read, they're going to lose $100 million.
Needing, not hoping.
They're basically, it's going to become a massive flop, essentially.
Good thing is they haven't hitched their boat to
unless they're lucky and it grows with a bit of word of mouth. But I don't know. I think that's actually not necessarily the fault of the film. Essentially, if you don't get 80 or 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, you're not I think it was always going to be sitting roughly around there.
Yeah.
And because it gets 40%, people go, oh,
mate, it suffered. It suffered the DC stuff.
Yeah.
Like if Wonder Woman had come 1 or 2 movies earlier, I think they probably would have done better on this one. But people are already sick of DC. And
I wouldn't be surprised too if it's a bit of superhero fatigue.
There's a bit of that.
So many superhero films. Yeah. Quite frankly,
Thor did pretty well, but
I know, but I mean, Marvel gets the rub of the green. And yes, they make better movies. They do make better movies. But put them all together, and they're all very much the same.
They do get. Right? They get a clearer run.
Yes,
people want to like them. People already like the Marvel stuff, so they're more. Because for me, look, I loved Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 had massive problems.
Yeah.
But I went and sat there and I watched it and I enjoyed it. I didn't let the problems kind of tear it down for me. And people just want the DC films to suck now. They want them to. Like, I've read that many reviews where I'm just sitting there and I'm thinking, yeah, but there was a couple of the Marvel movies had this issue too.
But it's forgotten.
But they were still enjoyable. And I thought, for me, that's what Justice League was. And I think you find, if you dig into it, there are a lot of people that have said exactly the same thing that I've just said, that like it's got some real problems. But if you just kind of take it in, you'll have a bit of fun with it.
Yeah.
Which probably wasn't the case with Batman and Superman.
But I just think there's a little bit of superhero fatigue. And look, these movies make money whether it's, you know, it doesn't matter. All these like Justice League is still going to make it's going to gross a heap of money. Problem is it costs a heap, right? So it's going to get hurt by that.
But China will come in and save it.
But it might. But I'm also in agreement that I'd actually be interested in looking at Justice League as opposed to something like Batman and Superman. Like I couldn't have given a rat's spring about Batman and Superman, and then I watched it and I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was actually all right. This one looks a bit more interesting. Like it just feels a little more out of the doldrums sort of thing.
Yeah.
So maybe if they can just build on it a little bit. Problem is, when you go to the Batman, you're going back down into the darkness.
Well, the funny thing about this one is I'm clearly a Batman man, but I think Batman works much better without Justice League and that sort of shit. I'd much rather watch just Batman movies and pretend that sometimes that Superman and that didn't
Preferably
exist.
cartoon ones.
Yeah, well, some of the better ones. But I came out of this one thinking, fuck, I wouldn't mind seeing a bit more Superman now.
Yeah.
Because he had some cheesy shit lines, and there was one particular scene with him that just made zero sense. And I think once you see it, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. But by the end of it, I was like, that's fucking Superman, finally. After Man of Steel, even, which I kind of enjoyed, and Batman and Superman, I was just like, fuck, I could not tolerate any more of this fucking doom and gloom Superman.
Yeah.
So I actually came out of this one thinking, fuck, I wouldn't mind seeing a bit more Superman. And Batman, I was just like, they kind of fucked him up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that's 2 movies in a row that fucked him over then, because no one was happy about Torture Batman, and no one's going to be happy about Wisecracking Batman. So.
Yeah. It sounds like they can't really find a tone for him. I forgot one other thing. I am now 600 pages through it.
Ooh.
That's halfway.
Yeah, no, it's a big book. I read it a long time ago.
Mate, I said the same to Jared before you turned up. They didn't even scratch the surface in the movie. Not even close. There is some incredible set pieces and shit involving Pennywise and all these characters that they have met who are, you know, and these scary sort of sequences that are they're just fantastically done. But it's also coated with a light dusting of cocaine.
Oh, yeah, no, he's...
So when the man's coked to the eyeballs...
Was it a light dusty or was it
it was a fucking fair old dusty.
I think he had, like, stretched a balloon full of it over his head and just lived in there.
He is off his chops and he is just out there. And it's better for it. That's the thing. It's just out in the middle. But I'm 600 through. So I'm closing in on the.
So you liking it though?
I'm loving it.
Yeah,
I'm loving it.
It's a good book.
And it even showcases that he was doing those little things, connecting his universe even back then.
Yeah.
In the 80s. So it's nothing new that he's been doing it more recently, and people are pointing it out. And they've got this new show coming out that's all set in the Stephen King universe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fucking great read. It's really, really worth it. Especially after watching the movie and loving it. I thought the movie was excellent. Alright. That's 45 minutes we've been...
That was a real rapid fire, guys.
Really?
Would have seen over what we're watching quickly.
I'll edit 25 minutes out. Alright, let's take a break. And let's get in the cage with Louis Ferrigno.
Yeah.
4 walls of steel wire, 16 feet square.
I'm sorry to report to you that your fight is dead. you cannot dispose of the body, we will take care of it for you.
Billy Thomas and Scott Monroe, two lifelong friends, are drawn into the secret world.
Billy, how would you like to make a lot of money fighting?
I don't like to fight.
Where they uncover its corruption, expose its secrets, and their only way out is to fight for the greatest prize of all.
This fight ain't gonna last long.
Their lives. Lou Ferrigno, Reb Brown,
You ain't gonna shoot a lady, are you, dickhead?
Cage.
They're right. Cage from 1989, not Nicolas Cage.
You're already laughing.
Cage.
We're off to a good start.
It's directed and produced by Lang Elliott. He was responsible for Cage 2, and I think that was about it. And it's written by Hugh Kelly, also wrote Cage 2. Stars Lou Ferrigno as Billy Thomas, Reb Brown as Scott Munro, Al Leong, or better known as Endo, as Tiger Joe, James Shigeta, who plays Takagi from Die Hard.
Yeah.
He's Tin Lam Yin.
Of course he is.
And Branscombe Richmond, better known as
Bobby
Bobby
Stiller.
Stiller, and he plays Diablo.
The Mexican. What the fuck?
The budget is unknown. Look, a couple of packets of cigarettes, a case of beer. This was in cinemas, I believe.
Oh, fuck.
Right.
I managed to find a box office.
I heard you say
tally.
cinemas, plural. So.
Yeah, so it made $614,000 in the US.
Yeah.
So it was in the cinema at some point. I don't know how many.
$1,000. There's no way the budget was that high, surely.
No, I think they made some money on it.
I was going to say they made about 613 and 900 profit.
We're in the wrong business, guys.
Just a little bit of trivia. Both Lou Ferrigno and Reb Brown both played Marvel comic book superheroes. Ferrigno played the Incredible Hulk and Reb Brown played Captain America.
When he looked like fucking Super Dave or something.
That's where I saw that bloke.
Yeah. Captain America. Okay, now, this film was given to us by Brad.
Thanks,
right?
Brad.
Now, Brad's given us a rundown. He's given us his thoughts. So I'm going to start with him. He's given it 2 out of 5. Right? Brad says it's actually not badly written with some payoffs and decent characterizations for a subpar 80s kickboxer ripoff. Particularly like the main henchman and his character arc coming to care for Billy and then saving his life. Overall, the movie is stuck in late 80s schlock, action Cheeseville. Yes, it is. It's very much so. I'm going to say I 100% agree with the fact that it feels like something like your kickboxer. It's cut rate.
Yep.
Watching this on YouTube is difficult because it's bad. It's a bad film, but it's bad. It's really bad copy.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to watch.
Trust me, mate, it'd be more difficult to find a copy of
Yes.
it.
So the difficulties in watching it are also magnified by having to watch it on YouTube.
Yep.
Look, it's a 1-star movie, but I had 3 stars of fun.
So you
So
got
I'm down the middle.
Yeah.
I think it's cheesy as all hell. It's stupid as they come. But dare I say it, Lou Ferrigno produces a couple of alright pieces. Surprisingly enough, Reb Brown is fucking hopeless.
Hey, really good at roundhouse kicks, though.
If you need him at your groin.
If you need him at knee height.
But overall, 2 out of 5. And people, if I spoke to someone and said we're watching The Cage from 1989, and we're doing it on the podcast, they would have said that'd be the worst movie you've ever covered. Not even close. I look back through our catalogue. Mate, this movie's.
They don't listen to us enough.
I know. There is some stuff well below this.
Yeah.
So, for me, I had a bit of fun with it. It's badly made, but I'll give it 2 out of 5.
Right.
Gibbo,
Oh, me next. Okay.
come on in.
It's a 1.
It's a 1-star.
That's all I got.
That's
No,
still going to a deeper.
the intro was funny, and I was just like, okay, so it's just going to be some fucking war hero bloke, and then you get them like getting injured, and then it goes into this fucking montage with the weirdest music of all time, and I was just like, "Fuck you guys! What is going?" It's like some, I don't know what the word for it is.
Oh, man.
There's a similar song over the end credits.
Yeah.
Everything in between is dog shit.
Right.
It's one for me. I'll get into all this other shit later.
Jared.
Yeah, I had a feeling you were not going to be pleased.
I like good movies.
Yeah, look, I've probably been guilty in the past of giving stars for entertainment that I had with it, so I better make the distinction. It's probably a 1.5 for me, but I'm the same as you. I had a fucking blast watching it.
You don't give too much credit for unintentional comedy.
Yeah, I know, but that's still. I mean, I've watched bad movies before that were just flat out bad. Now, if I'm watching a movie like this that's bad but makes me giggle and has like absolutely ludicrous things in there, like that's fucking entertaining as. Like, I would much rather watch something like that than one of those just down the line bad, you know.
But do you think they knew it was as off as it was? Like,
no,
they're taking it seriously. When he's talking about how he died a long time ago,
I just
lost my mind.
Look, that's what makes it so funny.
But also,
they're giving it their absolute best.
I will give it some credit for knowing, like, this was 89. It knew that this was, I'd say, this was a B grade. I mean, somehow made it into cinemas, but at that stage, you were ripping this shit out on video. Yeah. Right? And it kind of knew what its lane was. Yeah. It just knew what it was.
The thing about this was, like, as you said, you were thinking kickboxer. I was thinking same sort of Bloodsport. Bloodsport was what came to mind when I first started watching it. Funnily enough, I hadn't seen anything about this movie previously. Nothing. But as soon as I started watching it, I was like, yeah, fuck, I would have seen this preview 20 times on absolute dog shit that I'd hired on video down at the video store, you know. So the only reason I haven't seen it is because it didn't pop up in the video store, basically. Yeah. But yeah, that was the lane it was in. It tries to do it bloody cheaply, but funnily enough, down the track, it's actually got some names that we recognise, which adds it a bit of, you know, unintentional humour again. Some of the lines are just laugh riot, and again, they're supposed to be serious. Some of the stuff that, look, Louis Ferrigno, some parts I was like, oh no, Louis, like, you know, some scenes where he's giving it his best and he just looks absolutely terrible, and then other parts I thought, well, fuck, he's acting Red Brown off the fucking screen. So it was quite, look, the entertainment value, it's a 1.5 movie at absolute maximum. But I enjoyed watching it. I'd watch it again. So, funnily enough, I started watching Cage 2.
You should be ashamed of yourself for that.
I should be ashamed. That one was a slog.
So if it was actually aware and more tongue in cheek, then I'd be more on board with it. I just felt like they were actually going for some of the beats.
Then it wouldn't be entertaining.
Look, I will kind of agree slightly on both sides. There's stuff in it that kind of seems like it not necessarily doesn't belong, but it feels kind of, for instance, him getting shot, and yeah, I'm sorry, it's sort of like a dislike, but him getting shot in the head at the start and then recovering, they could have gone a different way without having him being kind of damaged by the shot in the head, which made him childlike.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is the thing. He
could have just been shot in the leg or something, and then he took time to recover, and Red Brown stayed with him. And
look, if I was trying to improve the movie and make this like a serious action movie, I would have almost made him not speak.
Yeah.
But that would have, in this movie, if he hadn't have spoken, that would have taken 3/4 of the entertainment out of the bloody thing.
Yeah.
Because Louis trying to act like a child is highly amusing at a number of points.
Mario, I want some ice cream.
You prick.
Fuck it.
Alright, look, let's get into the likes and dislikes. Just to let you know, Brad's given me his likes and dislikes, so mine and his will be peppered in together.
Okay.
And I'll try and...
Feel free to outline who's a who's, mate, if you're not on board.
No, I will. Yeah, I'll throw it. Most of them sort of hit the mark where I was at too.
Right.
Yeah. Look, for me, movie starts with a bang. It's a dive store ball. It's shot in Southern California or some bullshit. It's supposed to be Vietnam. But it starts with a bit of a bang.
It's not bad.
They spend a bit of money there.
Yeah. And the first person stuff over the guns.
That was out the bloody back of someone's house.
Yeah, but what I mean is, it looks Professional.
Yeah, they spent a bit of money on the chopper.
I was going to say, they actually had
So the chopper
helicopter
said
there.
you got 2 minutes.
They actually just flagged a bloke down that was flying past. Mate, just come to a flyby, can
You
you?
know what I love though? Every time they cut to close-ups, it definitely wasn't moving. It's just sitting there and they're shooting below the rotors, so you don't have to see it. Starts with a bang though.
Yeah.
I kind of enjoyed that dime store shit.
I thought I was like, oh, this might not be alright, actually.
Well, that was right in the lane of straight-to-video, action, cheesy.
It just looked like Rambo 2.
Yeah.
But
Brad also mentioned that no one else seems to be cranking out short sleeves except Lou, so he can fucking gun up.
Well, his captain it looked like he was maybe in his 50s and was weighing the best part of 30 kilos. He's like, go away for the captain.
Yeah, you know none of those other blokes are passing the physical.
No. That bloke hasn't done a push-up in his life.
Brad also mentioned that Louis the only one with some sort of mullet or perm.
Tell you what, though.
But that shit's not getting through. That shit's not getting through.
The Mullet Olympics, we missed a contestant. That is a full head of hair.
Yeah, that's a good. It's a mix between the mullet and the perm, but look, it's not passing muster with the army though.
No.
Although I guess you've been hanging around the wilds of Southern California.
I think who's going to argue with him?
Yeah, you've been sinking piss at someone's barbecue for 6 months and then you jumped over the fence.
No one's telling Billy Thomas to date his fence.
You jumped over the fence into fucking Hanoi or some shit. Yeah, nobody's arguing with Louis. But Louis was bigger than Arnie. Like he was taller and more.
Yeah,
he wasn't as
striated like
he wasn't as well defined.
Yeah,
but he was bigger. He was a big human dude.
It's kind of
human.
In a way, it's a little bit kind of sad to say, but his speech probably cost him any chance at a movie career.
Yeah.
Hang on a sec. Got him this role.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. They had to write around it for this role, which ends up looking. Can you imagine if this was out in the cinemas now, the uproar that would be around about portraying people and difficulties and things like that?
Yeah.
But the poor bloke probably. I mean. At the time, anyone that was putting a movie out for him was just like, or, putting a movie out for Arnie or that, wouldn't have been looking at him.
Yeah.
Even though Arnie struggled, I mean, Lou probably has better pronunciation than Arnie does.
Arnie's always had he just had the charisma that Lou just doesn't have. He looks like he's just
just a big body. Yeah.
Look, I'm throwing it straight out there. Lou's not the worst actor I've ever seen.
No.
Not even close.
No.
In fact,
Red Brown is definitely
Red is right up there with the worst.
Hey, we just watched Highlander, mate. There's plenty of contestants a bit below Lou, I tell you.
But, and Brad pointed this out as well, the hearing difficulty that he had in life kind of works into this. It actually does work for him. Yes, I don't think the characterization is great, but there are times when he's actually competent. And he actually gets a couple of scenes reasonably well done.
Yeah.
Now, you're talking about a super cheap film. They would not have gone past one fucking take.
Yeah.
Right? So, I'm thinking Louis done all right.
Yeah.
Louis actually done all right. He's certainly no great shakes, but Red Brown is just, he's having a shocker. So Louis at least putting in some effort. And I actually, I was, I sort of thought to myself, well, he's having a crack.
And the other thing that they actually did was that they actually hired decent actors. Like a couple of blokes that could carry the weight, like Tagagi.
Mate, Chiquita. You can't just call it. You can't.
Chiquita. You say Chiquita, everyone's going, who?
Mr. Takagi.
Let's say Takagi.
Okay, Mr. Takagi.
Takagi.
From Nakatomi Plaza.
He had his brains put back in.
Him and Al Leon, this must be like a package deal. Who's Al Leon? Endo.
I like to...
They go, look, we've got this James Chicago
and Al Leon.
Fuck them, I want Endo and Takagi. They say,
same guys.
We're putting this guy forward. He played Takagi in Die Hard. Where's our Leon?
Who's our Leon? Endo. Yeah, get him. No worries.
Yeah, he comes with me.
Can we get Carl to come in the background? We need a big blonde guy.
I laugh at Bobby Six Killer too, but you give him the thug role and he'll do. In a cheap flick, he'll do what he can with it.
He'll do it in multiple
You make him a Mexican, you're probably asking for what you got. You know, you're asking for the get us a round of beers, man, and all that sort of stuff. But he will give you a decent acting performance as a head.
His quote unquote Mexican is terrible.
But who gets Danny Trejo on set and goes Italian? Bobby Six Killer, Mexican. Like, unbelievable.
Where's Danny from? Yeah.
He's a Mexican.
Definitely
Does it just me or does Red Brown look like Brian Bosworth?
He looks a
A
lot like
youthful
Brian.
Bosworth.
Slightly leaner, but
Yeah.
stupid blonde. You know what
A
he
bit
looks
more
like?
bulk.
He looks like one of the main characters out of one of those old
Duke Nukem or something like that?
No, like the old like arcade games, like the side-scrolling fighter game, like Final Fight or something like that. Yeah.
I must admit, there were a couple of sequences when in that montage at the start under the music where I just could not stop laughing.
Yeah.
And one of them that Brad pointed out was he's reading bedtime stories and then he
This is about Bambi.
shits when he can't do the puzzle and just
That was my favourite. That was my favourite bit of Lou Ferrigno doing his absolute best to give you a performance, and it's just like, yeah, that's why you're the Hulk, mate.
But the best bit was Lou trying to walk again.
Yeah.
Shuffling and falling down.
Oh shit!
But
you notice
You're making this look hard.
Instantly, see, because this is another one where my likes and dislikes just kind of blend into one. Because this was one of the most ridiculous scenes I've ever seen, but I was laughing so hard, and it was under that scene, that music, that fucking ridiculous song. But there's this bit where they say something like, in the song it says something like, I'm not going to leave your side, or I'm going to be here, or whatever. And Reb Brown gets out of his bed, strolls over, puts a hand on Louis' arm, then rolls back to his own bed, and for some reason he kind of lounges with the hands behind the head and gets this big smile on his face. And I'm like, what
This
is
is when he was still unconscious too.
Louis hasn't woken up.
I'm here with my mate. I'm being supportive. God, I'm a good bloke.
Oh yeah, I'm with you, mate. The cast. Awesome B grade sort of cast.
For the for the cash that you are obviously
and hindsight's one whole thing because I'm sure most of them were getting paid a pittance.
Yeah, for the money that you got, they probably got a couple of decent blokes.
Yeah,
and I mean Red
Brown
had a profile.
Fucking Takagi.
Yeah, Takagi. There's a couple of real bad actors in amongst the crop, which I'll talk about in the dislikes.
We're going to talk about the photographer?
Yeah, but there's one even worse than her. I'll get in.
Let's stay on likes.
Just an absolute prick.
Can we talk about the death grip when he gets shot in the head?
Yeah!
So,
yeah,
you're holding a whole human and then you get shot in the head and... What, is he going into like rigor mortis?
Yeah, I was going to say your whole body goes limp except for the, as you said, the grip.
He's hanging off the side except his forearm is just that pulsating. He can't possibly drop that man. Also, actually, the squib on the side of his head though, not bad.
Yeah. Except it's a bit purpley, isn't it?
I was going to say, like, if he's lost as much blood as was coming out of his head there, he'd be like the bloke in Hot Shots that was just kind of deflated.
I had a bit of a question mark about how he managed to hold on to him. I'm glad he did though. Because who was he hanging on to? Was that?
He was hanging on to Red Brown.
Yeah, so it's Scott. Okay, cool. Scott, not Red Brown. Please.
Scott, my apologies. I got that wrong.
Yeah, I actually
it's James Shigeta.
The cage fighting stuff to start was effective enough, all right. Except aside from the fact that they were missing each other by
I love that. It was just a cornucopia of missed punches, followed by stuff that looked like it might be real, like blokes are thrown into walls. If we're on point now, suddenly the guy's throwing punches and missing him by a foot, and I'm just like, who the hell was handling this?
But the other thing too that really works at the start for me is they get that weirdo with the blonde hair that was in No Retreat, No Surrender 3, and
is the bloke even Asian?
I don't think so. I think he's not Asian as far as I'm aware, but he looks. I mean, it's kind of like he looks weird. Like he looks like if I saw him in in that suit and that get-up just kind of staring, I'd be fucking leaving the room. So kind of the fighting was sort of effective enough, and then you get someone like him that kind of adds to the whole sort of scene of it. I'm like, yeah, passable. Passable kind of heavies and cage fighting setup that he's obviously going to...
I believe Lou has also got testicles of steel. He receives a couple of good solid kicks in the ball.
He gets on late. An all-timer. He's fighting like a gentleman. Next minute, cop this, champ.
But isn't it added to by the fact, I think it's in that fight when he's... Is it the first one when he gets hit in the balls and then he starts going, he's cheating and all this sort of stuff? I'm laughing because
I don't want to fight anymore.
Whereas me, I'm just going, oh! I'm not
getting up for 2 days.
Because that was like clean, right in the right.
Going down didn't save you in this though. They just keep kicking in their head. There's no rules.
There's a couple of piss funny dialogue pieces that I couldn't stop laughing about. Brad pointed out one in the first fight. He walks over and he goes, hi, I'm Billy, and that bloke just goes, fuck you!
Hi, I'm Billy. Because he thought they were wrestling. They let him, it was like a lamb to the slaughter. It was pretty bad, actually, if you think about what was actually going on.
Yes. But personally, my favourite was when the bar gets blown up.
Yeah.
And Rembrandt rolls up on the bank woman and she goes, you're $50,000 low on your insurance. And he goes, what does that mean? Exactly what you just said, you fucking idiot.
I love he tries to play the sympathy card with a bank too.
There's no mystery about it, Rem. She told you in direct.
You are $50,000 light on
so
your
as a businessman, yes, sailed, but wait, it's my fault.
I'm sorry, Scott. I was clear and concise the first time, so I'll repeat it for you. You are $50,000.
And he gets the shits, I believe. He walks off in the fucking half.
My favourite was actually when Billy gets introduced to the two gangsters first, when they follow him outside. And he's like, hi, Lucky, and all that sort of stuff. And then they talk to him about fights, and he kind of shakes his head, and he's like, I don't like to fight. I burst out laughing. It was Louis' worst delivery of the movie by a long way. Absolutely woeful. But one of the funniest bits in the whole movie. I think it's kind of like, it's sort of what you said. I don't know if it... I find it difficult to give Louis credit for the acting, per se. But the fact that he's given it so much, and he's clearly giving it his absolute best.
He thought it was his Oscar role.
It's strangely endearing in the parts when it needs to be. So, like when he talks about I was dead already, like you're alternating between versus the end of the laughter, and then kind of it's endearing because the bloke is obviously giving it his fucking best.
Yeah,
you know?
And I actually found, very much like Brad did, that the actual relationship between him and Mario was reasonably decent. It needed more work, but that was one of the rare things where I kind of felt this is kind of a little bit outside this sort of movie. Like, it's kind of like this movie's off in the stratosphere doing fucking around over here.
Yeah.
But this particular character arc could have been useful in another movie.
Is it
wasn't about cage fighting.
Is it as strong as the relationship between Ferrigno and Flash Gordon?
No, not quite. Sometimes I had a set to over.
Yeah, who was charging more for autographs at a convention or something, didn't they?
Bloody
a couple of 70-year-old men punching on or nearly punching on.
But I actually found that stuff to be reasonably... It actually was reasonably worked out. It was the only character arc that kind of had some...
Did anything, really.
Semblance of... Yeah. It started here, we built up, then it paid off.
Even it was clumsy and kind of rushed, but at least it was it looked better.
He did just go from being just a seedy henchman to all of a sudden he's on, the disabled guy's side for reasons.
Yeah, it actually basically it added to the drama a little bit towards the end there.
And I must admit, I got a fucking giggle out of the whole sequence where they've got Louis at their house and they're trying to explain to him he's got to do cage fighting.
Yeah.
And they're eating hot dogs or some shit. And they're trying to explain to the guy, trying to explain to him, you're going to be fighting. And he just keeps going, where's the mustard? The bloke's like, fuck. He's dumping off into it.
There's a pickle.
Get in the pickles. I actually got a bit of a laugh out of it. Reb Brown's running attire. You're a genius.
Mate, it's good to dress in all white with your socks pulled up.
What happens if you're a distance runner? My query is, if you're one of those distance runners that, goes the length and accidentally pooks yourself, what do you do if you wear the white shorts?
There's no hiding it, that's for sure.
Let me tell you something, mate. The guy has got to be a short distance runner.
Yeah,
because
short.
His top shorts are so tight, he cannot stretch it out.
The best part about that sequence, though, is when he goes in the backyard looking for Billy, and he goes, "Oh, there's a clue." And he runs over to the bench and he picks up the towel and looks at it and tries to be thoughtful and puts the towel back down and walks away.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to convey some feelings here. Let people know that I'm mulling things over in my head.
It's the old Ronnie Moss, mate. He tries to be thoughtful, but he looks like he's just smelled a fart.
Yeah. The funny thing about the smell of fart? When I smell a fart, my instant reaction is, what was that?
Well, that was his thinking face. Yeah, nailed it.
Yeah, Reb's running attire is a winner.
The other thing about the backyard too, just that you brought it up, was it cracked me up, is the backyard's about 2 foot by 2 foot, but he rolls out, looks one way, and he's like, "Billy!" And he looks the other way. "Billy!"
Giant human.
You can see the whole thing from the back step.
Yeah. He's not hiding behind a blade of grass, dickhead.
He sure he wasn't.
He's like 6 foot 4.
Out there?
6 foot 4, 130 kilo human, and he's like, "Are you out here? You're hiding behind the clothesline." Dickhead.
I think the movie picked up a bit of pace when Red Brown started going around shooting people with a shotgun.
Yeah.
And
the car chase.
The car chase is
actually
well done.
The stunt work in there, and the bloody the
camera works all in different angles. And they edit it properly.
Yeah, there's a few continuity things in it.
Yeah, there is
with these ones, but
it was actually the pulse was racing for 10 seconds.
My heart's beating like a jackhammer. Brad also loved the fact that chick runs up to him in the bar and goes, "You wouldn't shoot a woman, would you, dickhead?"
And he punches her in the face.
Jobs her a good one. I think he jobs her and then he uses the shotgun on her.
Is it just me, or did she remind you of Mimi from the Drew Carey show?
Yeah, she did actually.
That was absolutely the funniest bit.
Yeah. It was very amusing.
Her delivery is, she fucking right into him, and then he just fucking levels up.
He doesn't take any fucking nonsense on that, because he gets into the other bit, and he's like, "Oh, where's this bloke?" And they're starting to be lippy. He just loosens on the shotgun.
And another thing Brad loves is he sets fire to that guy. And then he doesn't bother to shoot him.
He's like, shoot him, he just laughs.
No, he just loves it. So the guy is just a...
But that was poetic, because he knew that he was... actually, that lady's name was Mimi, wasn't it? In the bar?
Yeah, it might have been.
Different Mimi, obviously, but...
Yeah, that was poetic because he knew he was the guy who blew up the bar.
Yeah, and burned his friend, Mimi. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Mimi.
Jeez, we're starting to connect
there's some depth in here. Maybe it's a 4-star.
Maybe.
No, I'm out of lies.
I had a comment there just to point out the unlikely white guy martial arts. We did mention Red Brown's
round. Some of that was magical.
Mate, he's going for all of it. It's like, I'm Jean-Claude Van Damme. Yeah. No, you're not, Red.
Yeah, you're not even close, mate.
Yeah. His roundhouse is the worst roundhouse I've seen on camera.
It's seriously knee height.
It is dreadful, and it's so slow.
Yeah.
Like, you're in the next room before he's landed where you were.
Turning to try and kick me. Let me go have a cup of coffee.
When I come back, I may receive this foot in my...
As soon as you had that first bar fight scene where the two gangsters see him, where they're trying to break that fight up in the bar, and him and Billy are just loosen everybody up, I was just like, what is this blonde bloke here for? What is he offering?
Ferrigno was just going full Hulk, and then you're like, this is where he's around. He's throwing people around.
The bloke thinks he's
Brown is sizing up, and then doing that. Oh, the roundhouse was just awful.
Yeah, look, that's probably it for me too. Brad was a bit of a fan of the unconvincing bear hug on Shigita at the end.
Takagi.
Where
he just crushes him.
May you hear a little bit of it.
And then it's like, put him down, Billy. Put him down. It's like, don't hurt anyone, Billy. It's too late for you, mate. Sorry, you've already murdered people. He broke that other bloke's neck.
Yeah.
Asian bloke. So.
Oh, he definitely. Ooh, yeah. Things got a little bit out of hand.
Was the injury there supposed to be bringing his
brain function back. I couldn't understand with the flashbacks.
Yeah, I did. That was odd because it was like he punched the smarts back into it.
Yeah. Turned him into like a killing machine again for a few
it kind of
seconds.
seemed that way, but I don't think that was what it was about. That is one of the funniest scenes in the film, though.
Well, please explain, Adam. What was it about?
I just think it was him having flashbacks.
But why?
But then
because he punched him where the bullet hit him. He doesn't punch that up, does he?
I think it was they were just padding it out.
Yeah,
because it's slow though, and he keeps going. His facial expressions are so.
We talked about the pulled punches earlier.
Do a flashback here.
We talked about the pulled punches earlier. If you want to talk about pulled punches, that slow-mo of where he punches him in the forehead over and over again, and he's like trying to do like the head shake.
Yeah.
That's not how it happens, guys. Sorry, that is not good.
Oh, look.
I've got to say
segue into dislikes there.
Definitely. That
most of my dislikes were equally as entertaining.
I got the funniness out of it, but the opening song.
What is it?
I don't know, but also I think it kind of felt like they were this close to being in a relationship.
Yeah.
Like it's really.
That's why I called it a romantic comedy.
Yeah, it's really weird the way they set it all up.
Yeah.
Because they kind of showcase they're supposed to be friends, but it's a love song over the top of the credits.
Oh no, it's weird.
So it doesn't make any sense.
But it's also a love song that is clearly cheap. Like they may have had it written for 10 squid or some busker on the corner or something. Couldn't they have gone back and said, we need something a little, just slightly different?
Yeah.
Just call Survivor.
Yeah. Giving just the offcuts.
The whole music.
Survivor offcuts, could you imagine that?
Call Robert Tepper.
Oh, mate, he was right up there.
He was smashed it out of the park.
The music in general is immediately noticeable as it's like cheap TV show quality. Like the budget constraints show the whole way.
Something off Matlock.
Yeah. The other thing about that sequence too, and this is what Brad pointed out, is when he opens the box with the, I think it's like the Congressional Medal of Honor or whatever. Brad was kind of saying it felt like he was just going to drop down on one knee and propose to the bloke, and it was going to have a ring in it or something. Like it was kind of out of place, and I think that
whole scene was the strangest montage ever.
Yeah.
I mentioned Red Brown leaning back and like lounging as if he's on the beach in Hawaii.
Yeah, while his mate's buddy doing it tough over here.
Maybe lost all brain function. In a coma.
There was a lot of weird sort of things within that montage, and the music did not help at all.
No. That was my first thing. I said, what the fuck is the opening montage song? That was my exact words.
So my other favourite example of the music is when the gangsters head into the bar in that fight, there's a clear-cut Bad Moon Rising knockoff.
Yeah, I heard
it's the same progressions, and then you can tell they're trying to have it. Obviously, they couldn't afford Creedence Clearwater Revival, so they got, I don't know, Creedence Murky Water Revival or something doing a fucking knockoff. It's bloody dreadful. And it does that, like, the whole way through the movie, the prevalence of those ballads and stuff like that are probably the biggest reminder of the fucking budget.
The other huge issue with this film is that there's so many little subplots that seem to have no real
bearing on anything else. Yeah.
Like the reporter,
she
doesn't even speak for about 45 minutes.
Yeah, you just see her over and over again.
Her speak. She continues to pull out what's supposedly a miniature camera to take photos.
It's gigantic.
She keeps holding it out like this.
She does everything. We put the bloody long legs on it.
You see him go, is there any, do you see anything weird in the crowd tonight? Not tonight. You just see her go.
Her story is just usurped by Endo.
Yeah.
His story becomes kind of her story, like undercover.
So you could have done away with her.
You could have done away with one of them.
I'm not really sure what that was.
Well, you couldn't have done away with Endo. I'm sorry.
No, you needed that.
Are you talking about Al Leon?
You needed that chops, mate. You needed that look.
I had a big question about the belly camera, actually, because she's doing some zooming in and getting some really specific facial shots for people.
Yeah.
The fuck do you aim a belly camera?
I don't know.
There's no way there's an LCD screen on top of that.
No, she just wear it.
When they show her, isn't she like at sort of chest height to the bottom of the ring?
Yes.
Interesting.
Mate. Her boss. Let's see what you got. It's just a fucking.
Just the side of the canvas and the bottom row.
The canvas.
Yeah, so what do we see? Yeah.
So you know you need your face to use the camera, right? Yeah, no, that was a big question. While we're talking about the opening montage, though, you mentioned the stories and the puzzles and stuff. The first thing you see on his bedside table is the Bambi book, the little kid's Bambi book. I'm like, what the fuck's happened here? The bloke's like 30 years old. Why does he want to watch Bambi? He's in a coma. Like, you wake up, oh, geez, I really need some reading. I'll put Bambi's here.
And it kind of undercuts the fact that we had not actually learnt that his
like
brain injury had actually made him childlike.
Yeah.
He was still in a coma, but you were putting Bambi books next to his bed. I mean, are we foreshadowing for the poor bloke?
When we're talking about this, it sounds fucking ridiculous.
maybe he's Bambi and Mimi was Bambi's mum. And the gangsters were the hunter.
Oh, man.
Hey?
Yeah, maybe.
4-star movie.
It's getting deep. When I said that there is some poor acting, and this was a dislike that Brad brought up as well that sort of segues into this. There's the other, I assume he's a crime boss, whose mate, I think he's connected to Mario and Tony.
The white-haired
Costello.
Yeah.
He is an absolutely atrocious actor. B, the shit he is spouting is fucking terrible. Like, you would not get away. I was surprised they were getting away with it back then. But even the stuff, everything he says is just, it's racist,
homophobic.
Yeah, or jokes about Billy being
disabled people.
It's
just a prick of a human.
Yeah,
even
it's
without all that
shocking.
stuff.
And he keeps laughing about it. Like he keeps saying one of the something about he keeps making racist jokes about Chinese people or Japanese people, and then he'll just go and laugh about it. And
he's like, "Be on time, you yellow man." And the guy gets up saying, "Calm down, mate."
No,
you're in the wrong.
The bloke.
Yeah,
let's get the Yakuza in here and sort him out. You know, like
the Toms, mate.
It's just really difficult to watch him.
Yeah,
and I don't really know what his place in all this was. You could have pissed him off and just had Tony and Mario as the crime.
Yeah, and then had them up against Takagi.
Yeah. No, we had this guy. He's just a terrible.
I sort of get what they were trying to do, like trying to put shit. I can't even remember his name. Mario's mate in the corner.
Yeah,
but yeah, the stuff that they were spouting was just.
But they could have done that with Takagi or Tom Lun Yim or whatever his name was.
It's kind of like he's in. Name? Yeah, but it's sort of like
Tom Thumb.
Yeah, they kind of confuse it when they could have just put him. They could have just had Takagi continue to up the stakes.
Yeah,
like, I'm not giving you the.
So at the end, he just changed the rules. Yep, you'll fight again.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you'll fight again or you'll die.
Because he was betting with credit essentially that he owed them. Takagi's got all the chips, so you never needed that guy.
Yeah. But also, the other thing that I found interesting was Reb and Louie just built up 6 Killer and Trejo in the bar.
No, Trejo's Italian, mate. He wasn't in the bar.
Either way, they built these guys up, right? And then Tony and Mario go, "Ooh, this guy could be our ticket." What did you see in that pretty bog standard biffo where he threw a few blokes into a wall that might convince you that cage fighting was where he was at?
It could be the fact he's a human mountain.
I know.
It wasn't Red Brown's martial arts skills.
We could have just moved on past that.
Definitely wasn't Red Brown's martial arts skills.
No, it wasn't. It was also not Red Brown's acting.
No. The bar fight in general's pretty. I mean, the acting was strike one, and Red Brown was strike two. Then we got this, Branscombe Richmond running around as a Mexican. It was a bit of a shambles, really. Yeah. The only good stuff, the funny thing is the roundhouse reminded me of fucking Eric Bana.
It was actually pretty good.
But yeah, the Louie was the best thing about that scene by a mile because they just let him
do what he's for. What I think he's hired for the film is to he's a big unit, and he's the whole background of throwing people around, punching on, being that's where it seemed to not get to the cage fighting quick enough either.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, it took a long time to get there.
Yeah. Almost an hour when you. Yeah.
And then
kind of like,
and then they kind of shovel in 3 or 4 fights really quick.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
they have that. Oh, you'll fight again.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Reb Brown's almost got his own action movie going on with his revenge scene where he's like punching women and
his little jeep,
lighting people on fire,
failing to put them out or shoot them.
Listening to Branston Richmond trying to be Mexican. I'd have shot him after he pulled it.
Talk about bad humour.
Listen, man, boom. Yeah,
Bobby Sixkiller's right hand man was a prick of a bloke as well.
Yeah.
Just mean for the sake of being mean to everybody.
Yeah,
he fucked the whole thing up.
Oh, he deserved
He kicked the ball, got the ball rolling on all this bullshit.
And his Molotov cocktail, fuck.
It blows the whole
The whole city
world's
block's
best Molotov.
The whole city block's gone in about 10 seconds. It's like, but like even it's the funny thing for me was that even he's surprised by the size of the
crazy.
fire.
Oh fuck!
He stops and he's like, oh shit.
Poor man, was surprised.
Is that you, boys?
Oh, what's all that flame?
Yeah. Red was also surprised that he was 50,000 light on his insurance payments.
What the fuck does that mean?
Go on with all the back compassion.
You know that immediately turned into a laugh for me again because when the fucking police showed up to tell him that the bar was burned down,
oh man,
and that she's dead, they go, "Oh, very sorry," and then they walk off. And Reb Brown's just left there to do this emotional heavy lifting, standing on a porch, trying to look like he's devastated. It's just awful.
Yeah, it's very kind of awkward.
Yeah, it's really. You know, they didn't even leave. They didn't even say to the cops, just, staring and give him a pat on the shoulder. Yeah. Mention some counselling or something. They just let him kind of stand there and like,
For some reason, that scene reminded me of the scene from Dodgeball, where Ben Stiller's there on the porch, and she shuts him down and tells him to fuck off or whatever. Yeah. It just had the same awkward, like someone that just doesn't really want to be there.
Yeah.
For very different reasons, obviously. The pulled punches thing, it has to be addressed.
Yeah.
There's some punch, and like you mentioned, the fact that there's a good chance a lot of this was single take effort.
Yeah.
There's some punches in this that miss by at least 30 centimetres.
Oh, there's a couple of kicks in the early first fight scene we see with this the karate bloke taking on the champ.
Yeah.
And one, he's got his fucking, he's going.
Yeah.
Going in the face. He's going. He's about this far away from him.
It's like the opening of that prison fight scene in Tango and Cash. That opening two hits.
Yeah.
Just
extended into the entire fight scene.
Yeah.
And there's another. There's one where they even throw someone into the cage, and you can tell that the sound effects just been added later because it's like 10 seconds later, and like, they just compound it by poor sound work.
Yeah, exactly. That's about it for me.
I was numb at a certain point and just forgot to take notes.
Take notes.
The
last thing Brad had is he also feels that the final song was just.
It was the same as the first song. I was just like, what the fuck is this?
The final one was like
something by Michael Bolton.
But you know what I thought, again, comparing it to something else, when I heard that song, what was going in my head was that, what would you do if Freedom Custom Buckle 5? And I was just sitting there, I couldn't get that out of my head. It's like I'm watching Team America again.
Freedom isn't free.
Yeah, terrible.
Does anyone know why old mate's hand is waving at the end, like twitching, when he's laying in the dirt?
Who?
Takagi, after he gets the bear hug.
Maybe
he's laying on the ground. I think he's dead. Oh, is he? Oh, okay. So that's what I was alluding to.
I think they might have just thought, fuck, we might get a sequel here and throw it. Just quickly took a shot.
Who's available? James Shigeta. Who's that? Fucking Takagi.
Does Ali Young come with him?
I've not seen Cage 2, I'll be honest.
I watched 10 minutes and I had to give it a rest.
Is it really good? Is it worse than this?
Yeah, because it's not as funny.
Who's in it?
Lou, Red Brown,
so it's the same casting.
They brought back the same team behind this little gem.
Is Ali Young in it? Because if he's not, I'm not watching it.
I don't think he is. I think he had better things to do by that point. I've actually got a couple here. He was
in Die Hard that same year. fuck!
Yeah,
What
well,
a come down!
What a year!
Look, he's got the underground scene seems to be pretty fucking well organised because you got a crew of sweepers, so they must be selling food and beverage in the stands. Not only are they making money on the beds, but someone's coming around with your peanuts.
I thought those blokes were going in there to clean up like dead bodies.
They're sweeping the bleachers.
So why do they have the fucking main henchman supervising them then?
Well, look, mate, he was do something.
I thought they were going in there like to clean out some corpses that had been left there earlier.
Yeah,
and then they're just not emptying those bins out.
I think Takagi might have said, "Take out the trash." And that was code, but the bloke's just gone, "Oh fuck!"
Get some janitors.
Yeah, the janitors. I'm gonna go and sweep the bleachers.
I'm going to find out who that bloke is that plays the blonde bloke. I don't think he's even a little bit Asian. I think they've just put some winged eyeliner on him.
pretty sure he's not.
I don't think he's Asian.
And he was in the only other thing I remember of
creepy
his
looking
was No Retreat, No Surrender 3, and then he just kind of disappeared.
Well, good. He should do.
You've also seen that.
Especially all they can cast him at is the fake.
One day we're going to do No Retreat, No Surrender.
No.
You cannot beat Van Damme and Bruce Lee's ghost in the same movie. Anyway, Red Brown seems to be in possession of $1,000 note, according to me, because in another one of his exchanges with the insurance, I think it's the same one.
What's he want
$1,000. Take that and shove it up your ass.
He's got what, for all money, looks like one note, and he goes, "Take it, it's about 1,000. And then pisses off.
It is a wad of notes.
Oh, no, it's one. It's a single note.
Your shit YouTube mustn't have been this.
Even on the VHS, I'm pretty sure it was. If it was a wad, they were ones. The fight with the Texan bloke is one of the fine examples of the kicks not landing. I think I mentioned the cage. There was thumping sounds at one point where they didn't hit it, and it's the boom, like they're hitting the cage. The other thing I noticed was it also seems to be a hefty suit and tie crowd.
A lot of businessmen.
So in that sort of district, it must be, what are we doing after work? We go to get a drink? Oh, there's a death match on. What do you reckon?
They bring us out
They sell peanuts and hot dogs in stands.
So they'll not bring you beer, mate. They've got a crew.
Red Brown first showing up in Chinatown to suss out the fights, and he stops the old couple.
Yeah.
He stops the old lady walking down the road.
You tell me the people are being murdered?
Excuse me, do you know anything about these fights that are on?
Yeah. Yeah, mate, I'm in the next one with my walker, you dickhead.
Yeah. They should have said, look, just stop down the local office block down the road. I'm pretty sure the
No, I don't know where they are, but I've just read this. If you're looking for cockfights, they're over here.
Oh, God. The biggest missed hit of the movie for mine was when Tony Buckler goes to slap Billy. Remember that one? He goes to slap on Billy and he misses that by fucking 3 feet.
Yeah, that's a big swing. Yeah.
The handgun that's used to kill Castillo. That fucking thing blows him back about 5 meters.
Yeah, it's like he's been hit with a shotgun in the chest.
The guy just stands like, he lines up the little handgun, boom, and Castillo just flies back into that pole.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I'm really getting petty now. The last one that got me, again, I did fucking laugh at it when it happened, but as neat as it is that the detective gives them the money to save the bar, pretty sure that's not it.
I need to find somewhere to put this. I think it's called evidence, mate. Actually, not just money. Here's a cool million for your shits and giggles, guys.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to come back to the bar and say, oh, look, the room full of witnesses there seems to have kind of dogged me in that I've handed over evidence, so I'm
going to jail.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, that's not how that works.
But yeah, most of this stuff made me laugh quite.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where you basically could have just run through the film and likes and dislikes would have just come up throughout.
I should have watched it on 3 times speed, speaking of run through it.
Well, it's on...
Wouldn't have had to listen to as much.
Well, I'm assuming that's the end of the cage. We're hopping out of the cage now.
Yeah, we're out of the cage.
I'll get the oxygen.
Worse than we look a bit like Luigi after the 2 points in a row.
Mate the mate, queen.
Look, big thanks to Brad for coming up with the cage.
Yeah, thanks.
It's a nostalgia thing for Brad, and so I appreciate that.
It's his Harley Davidson.
Once again, it's his Harley Marlboro. Once again, though, Jared could have saved us a lot of heartache by saying, I'm not watching that shit. It would have just been me and Brad watching it.
Yeah, but You know me by now. I'm not
I know. I knew I could just
He's yet to
nibble
say that.
away at your conscience.
I'm going to
and
say, as soon as I heard Lou Ferrigno Cage, that was all I needed to hear.
Wow.
So, thanks again, Brad, mate. I hope you enjoyed that and appreciate you providing your thoughts on the film. Now, next episode, we haven't fully locked it down. Is that not correct? Or were we going with
I think you're correct.
Copycat? Because we were talking about Copycat.
We'll sort it out offline.
Keep an eye on the Facebook page.
There's a little bit of an issue about the eligibility of copycats.
There's some
I
questions.
actually like it though. You don't like it, eh?
Oh, look, I haven't seen it for a long time, but I hated it when I saw it. So.
Once again, there's no issues from me.
No, of course not.
There's the green light here.
The man with no standards hasn't got a problem with it.
Yeah. If you want to get in contact with us, send us an email at thrillme@iinet.net.au. Like us on Facebook, Thrill Me Podcast Australia, or at Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com. Until next week, take it easy, and we'll catch everyone later. Cheers.
Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.